Let the joyous news be spread, the wicked old witch at last is dead. Ding dong, the witch is dead. Witch, oh witch, wicked witch. Ding dong, the wicked witch is dead.
Or is she? What's up, y'all? My name is Frankie, and I'm here to tell you that I think that Elphaba should die at the end of Wicked Part 2. Let's get into it. In Wicked Part 1, we open with the end. Right at the beginning of the movie, we get a shot of what's, in my opinion, essentially the grand finale.
Because there has been so much rumor and speculation, let me tell you the whole story.
Then we hear a voiceover, or rather an announcement. It's Glinda announcing to the citizens of Oz all of the details of Elphaba's murder.
The melting occurred at the 13th hour, the direct result of a bucket of water thrown by a female child.
A young human girl has thrown a bucket of water on her, and she's a goner.
Yes, the Wicked Witch of the West is dead.
All we see now is a puddle of water, and then resting right on top of it, a shot of Elphaba's crooked black hat. And then the movie opens. A little later, we see a couple of opening shots of Munchkinland, and we see Glinda arrive there via bubble. A bubble that she didn't even make, that was just handed to her by the wizard because she doesn't have any real powers. But you know what? That is not what we're getting into right now. Let's put the focus back on the fact that Glinda is here to share with her Munchkinlanders, aka the self-appointed leaders of the Kill the Witch movement, which, can I just say that I have not seen a witch hunty, burn at the stake political activism moment like this since Coney 2012. But anyway, Glinda is here to let them know that they got what they wanted and the Wicked Witch of the West is dead. Or maybe not? Now, this hot and spicy take, and basically the whole reason for this video's existence, is some online speculation that maybe she's not actually dead. That rider that we see leaving the castle on horseback right at the beginning of the movie.
Oh my god, what is that? Oh my god, what is that?
Well, the word on the street is, that's Elphaba. Now, if you've seen the stage production of Wicked, then you know that, spoiler alert, she doesn't actually die. She makes a plan to fake her own death, skip town, and go live her happily ever after with Fiyero. And deep down, something about that just doesn't sit right with me. I think that for this movie version, we have the chance to do something cool and different, and Elphaba shouldn't get a chance to just run away. I think that at the end of the movie, Elphaba should flat out die. Now, where is this all coming from? I think for me, it's about allowing her to complete her arc. At the end of the day, to me, she is a tragic hero. And if y'all know anything at all about tragic heroes, you should know that there's really only one way for this to end. Did you really think I'd do you wrong? Hey, hold on. Whoa, let me get up. Let me just hold on. Let me explain myself. Go ahead and do me a favor. Delete that paragraph.
Log off, the...
We don't need that right now.
Don't log off. Delete the account.
But just take a moment to hear me out, because I'm hoping to give you solid enough arguments as to why she should die, and I'm hoping to take you along with me and change your mind. Part 1. We're already diverging from source material. Both the first and second movie blend together a lot of different source material. We're incorporating things here from the original Wizard of Oz book, the Wizard of Oz movie, the Wicked book, the Wicked stage play, I would dare say even The Wiz. Not to mention the fact that we're obviously okay with introducing completely brand new elements, as we're seeing with the introduction of 2 brand new songs, with no knowledge of whether they're going to connect with the previously established lore in any way. I'm just saying that we are taking things from within the entire scope of the Wizard of Oz universe, and I think that we should really give the people something that they are not expecting. Let's give them an ending that we may not have even considered as an option, and let's kill Elphaba. Exhibit A. The dress. Now, if you've ever been lucky enough to attend a live stage performance of Wicked, or if you've ever seen a clip online of Christian Chenoweth singing the opening number on stage, or maybe, let's say, you watched the entirety of the original Broadway musicale with the original Broadway cast through illegally recorded shaky cam footage later uploaded to YouTube under a weirdo title like Broadway Wicked Slime Tutorials. Well, if you've seen any of this, then you know that at the very beginning of the story, the dress that Glinda is wearing when we get introduced to her,
It's going to see me, isn't it?
is blue. And what do we get in this movie? Right. Very similarly to what we get in the beginning of the Wizard of Oz movie. Glinda comes down from her bubble in a pink dress. I think it's pretty obvious that the creative direction team behind Wicked is okay with straying from things and taking some big creative liberties. So all I'm saying is, let's do something really creative. Let's rattle people with a brand new ending, and let's kill the witch, but for real this time. Exhibit B, the slippers. The ruby slippers that we all know and love. They did such a great job of really digging in and making sure they were cemented as part of the American cultural zeitgeist. Everybody knows about those heels. Everyone knows you throw them on, click them together 3 times, say those magic words, and I guarantee you that you know the rest. Originally, in the Wizard of Oz book, the Wicked book, and then the stage play from that came over 100 years later, the slippers were always silver.
Come on and ease on down the road.
When it came time to make a Wizard of Oz movie, the studio execs wanted to do something completely different. They wanted to take advantage of a recently developed Technicolor process and take advantage of the fact that while not the first, this was going to be a lot of people's first time seeing a colored movie. The silver slippers just kind of weren't cutting it. They wanted something that was really going to contrast against the bright yellow brick road.
It's too late. There they are, and there they'll stay.
They felt like a dramatic pop of color was exactly what was missing, so last minute they changed the silver slippers to a bright ruby red, and American history and movie history would never be the same again. There's also been a lot of online discussion as to why exactly it is that we're getting the silver shoes in this movie instead of the ruby red. At the end of the day, MGM, now owned by Amazon, is the sole owner of the rights to both the Wizard of Oz movie and the Red Ruby Slippers. Wicked is a Universal, aka Xfinity, aka Comcast, aka Viacom production, so it would make sense that there's a clash there. If we were to ask the director to explain this decision, I'm sure that he would say that it's an homage to the original book and to the original story, and I don't know if I buy that. I think the more realistic take here is that John Chu had to probably kiss so much ass to get that $500 million to plant all those tulips he wanted for the opening shots of the movie. So I think he was probably done with all that and just didn't want to continue kissing ass for even more money to shell out for the rights to the Red Ruby Slippers, which, you know what, I kind of respect. If silver slippers are the hill that you want to die on, then I better see Elphaba dead on that hill too. Exhibit C, the songs. There are going to be 2 brand new songs introduced in Wicked for Good. Stuff that we don't even know if will relate to the canon in any way. And no, it's not this one. Defying gravity for you. No, not that one. And this one, I don't think it's this one either. No. If anything, I think we get the smallest little hint of it right here in this teaser trailer. If we're gonna let the girls sing 2 brand new songs, then what's wrong with a brand new ending? Exhibit D, the wedding. At the very beginning of the latest available trailer for Wicked for Good, we see what could only be described as Glinda's wedding. Now, this is not something that happens officially in any other source material. At most, what we can get is maybe an engagement party, but for sure, nobody's tying the knot. If we do commit to the bit and end up getting a Glinda and Fiero wedding, I think it's going to introduce so much pain and suffering, but for what? For the sake of drama? It's not going to really be changing any of the core elements of the movie. Fiero is probably still going to leave Glinda, except what? Now instead of a broken engagement, it's a broken marriage? Yikes. That's still her best friend. Except now we're just saying that it's Glinda's husband that leaves her for said best friend, even after that best friend accidentally turned him into a scarecrow. But if we instead did some rewrites to include Elphaba dying at the end of the movie, now that I feel like would be pain worth suffering through. It would be pain that would fundamentally change the outcome of the story. And if we're going to be okay with rewriting the canon and introducing a wedding that nobody asked for, why don't we instead take this opportunity to make a brand new life-changing ending where Elphaba has to R.I.P. Part 2. Elphaba is a tragic character. Let her be one. Okay, and so why should we go all the way there and actually kill her for real? I think it's because it's what her character requires to have a completed arc. She's a tragic hero, okay? Her life is full of tragedy. There's a downfall and there's consequences that she faces that we all know that she shouldn't. That's what makes a tragic hero. And there has to be a finality that comes with that. There would be so much more emotional payoff in this story if she really were to die in the end. if we were forced to sit with the consequences of the actions of everyone in this movie. Now, for those of y'all that may need a refresher, or if you skipped accelerated reading in your elementary school, let me try to catch you up on what a tragic hero is. A tragic hero is someone who is undoubtedly a good person. At the core of their being, deep down, they have nothing but noble intentions. And throughout their story, it's possible that they complete a task or an adventure, and there's always going to be a palpable change that has been made by this hero. They're going to succeed in the face of adversity, and along the way have to deal with things like a society that wants nothing to do with them or maybe is actively rooting against them, a deep personal flaw, poor judgment, or maybe even some sort of unavoidable fate. They're going to suffer a downfall that evokes pity and makes you really feel for them. The downfall should hold space. See what I did there? And there should be room for the audience to reflect on the consequences of everyone's actions. Elphaba is a tragic hero because she also starts off with very noble ideals. She wants to make sure that the injustices that she's seen in the world don't go by unnoticed, and actively trying to make changes. But there's isolation caused by that defiance, and it's fueled by so much misunderstanding and so much prejudice, and it does lead to her eventual branding and her downfall as the Wicked Witch of the West. Her story evokes sympathy from us because we can see how her entire story is getting twisted by a world who just doesn't want to accept the truth that she's bringing them. But in any case, it's this downfall that makes their story. The character suffers, so we suffer. We feel something, and that's kind of the point. And no, tragic heroes don't always have to die, but I'm just saying that I think that it's way more powerful if they do. Why Elphaba is a tragic hero? Well, Elphaba, first of all, is green. She's literally been ostracized since the moment she was born. Throughout her life, from her very, very beginning, even as a toddler, she feels isolated, she gets mocked.
Elphaba's rock, green on top. Someone run and tell her that everyone can smell her.
She's feared. She's rejected by not only society, but her father, who's the literal governor of Munchkinland. Yeah, even he wants nothing to do with her. And why exactly? Because of the color of her skin. Being shunned for something as trivial as the color of your skin is pretty much about as tragic as it gets. She's always having to explain herself.
Fine. Let's get this over with. No, I am not seasick. No, I did not eat grass as a child. And yes, I've always been green.
And now the people of Oz have been convinced that her green skin is a manifestation of her wickedness and that this alone makes her a bad person. I don't know, that sounds like racism to me. And who's the mastermind of this all? Who's the reason that we even call her green skin a manifestation of her wickedness in the first place? Yeah, it's that bad built, butch body, bottle blonde ass Madame Morrible, that's who. The people of Oz have fallen victim to the propaganda. They hop on that hate bandwagon so fast and they start rooting for the Wicked Witch's demise blindly. And she hasn't even done anything wicked at all for real. And that's all part of Elphaba's tragedy. She's literally going to have been right the whole time. She's going to have been doing her best to topple the powers that be. She's going to have tried to free the animal. She's going to have tried to expose the wizard as the fake that he is. And all of this will have happened for what? If the audience got to witness Elphaba's death, it would really give weight to her sacrifices. It also highlights the injustice of a society that's gonna punish you for trying to challenge it, instead of letting her quietly disappear. Her arc is already so heavily bent towards tragedy, it stops just short of closure. And I don't know about y'all, but I need closure. Part 3. She dies in every other version, except one. Which brings me to my next point. Let's talk about the source material. First up, The Wizard of Oz. As we all should know, The Wizard of Oz started off as a book. So in this book, does Elphaba die? Yes, she does. In this one, Elphaba, aka the Wicked Witch of the West, kidnaps and enslaves Dorothy and her friends, and eventually Dorothy, in a fit of rage, throws a bucket of water on her, and Elphaba dies. Next up is the Wizard of Oz movie. This movie gets made almost 50 years after the book gets released. And does Elphaba die in this one? Yeah, she does. Elphaba actually sets the Scarecrow on fire trying to kill him.
How about a little fire, Scarecrow?
Dorothy, innocently trying to save him, throws a bucket of water at him to extinguish the fire. And the witch, who happens to be behind the Scarecrow, falls victim to secondhand bucket water.
I'm melting! Melting! Oh, what a world! What a world!
Yeah, she ends up melting, and she wasn't aware that it would kill her, but Elphaba dies. Next up, we have The Wiz. This one starred Diana Ross as Dorothy. It starred Michael Jackson as the Scarecrow. And in this one, did Elphaba die? I mean, for all intents and purposes, I'm gonna say yes. For all the white people out there who I know have not watched The Wiz, get to it. You got a few months left till for good. You better have watched it before it's out. In this one, we get a take on Elphaba. Her name is Eveline. Eveline is a nasty witch who enslaves her own people in a factory. And it's actually way more similar to what we would see in the Wizard of Oz book, which is actually the primary source material for The Wiz. Anyway, back to the main drama at hand. Does Eveline die? Yes. Eveline melts after Dorothy pulls a fire alarm.
No! Don't touch that! No!
And the sprinklers go off everywhere.
Allergic to water! It makes me melt! No!
Next up, we have Wicked, the book. You do have a little bit of a debate going on here, but I would say that it's generally the same idea as the rest. Elphaba melts after Dorothy throws a bucket of water on her. It was an accident though, sort of the same thing that happens in the Wizard of Oz movie, and there's just a lot of debate around her death, and even the author isn't really super clear. He leaves it up to the reader to interpret what happens, and I'm gonna do that for all of us. She dies, point blank, period. And then finally we have Wicked, the stage play. The last source material and the black sheep of the family, because this is the one that decides to shake things up. This one takes the author's ambiguities to a whole new level. I already gave you the first spoiler alert, so I'm not going to do it again. Elphaba lives after her death.
It worked!
Fiera! Fiera! I thought you'd never get me!
She actually just fakes her death, runs away with Fiero.
We can never come back to Oz, can we?
Nope.
And leaves Oz secretly. It only looks like Dorothy's the one at fault for having melted her with the bucket of water, which again just does not sit right with me, hence the point of the whole video. I just think that we have so much lore to go off of. This is one place where I wish we would just do it differently. Conclusion. If Elphaba lives, what was it all for? Okay, and all this to say, I think that if Elphaba really does get to just run away in the end, it's going to undermine her whole story, her whole deal, her whole struggle. Like everything that she went through at the end of the day is going to just feel smaller. It doesn't really feel particularly triumphant to see her live in the end, especially having seen the play. It's just kind of this huge womp womp, and then she gets away. By giving us this ending, the audience knows that not only is she alive, but maybe somehow even happy. It gives us a sense of relief and maybe even hope for her. So I guess basically what I'm saying with all of this is that I don't think that we as the audience need to be coddled in this way. Getting an ending where we're the only ones that get to see Elphaba not only live but walk away to her happily ever after kind of diminishes the point of the whole story for me. I think that a more powerful ending, a more impactful ending would be one where we get to see Elphaba's tragic death on screen, see her get melted by a bucket of water, giving us irrefutable proof that she has in fact died and falling victim to the extreme power of propaganda. Whether she actually dies on screen or she gets to run away and everyone else just believes that she's died, nothing else is going to really change for anyone in Oz, and that's part of her own tragedy. But it would make us, the viewers, have to sit with the pain of her story and the consequences of everyone's actions. I think it's pretty easy to look at the world around us and take a look at all of the tragedies that are happening around in our own world and side with the reality that sometimes it's true that the people that are in power are evil and sometimes they will win. The wizard's legacy is going to live on and Glinda's going to be left behind to uphold a lie. All alone, may I add, which definitely sucks for Glinda. But imagine if we got to see on screen Dorothy kill Elphaba, melting her by throwing a bucket of water on her. It would be so impactful. And we as the audience would have to sit there and deal with the forces that destroyed her. She'll become a martyr, and really, is a martyr still a martyr if she secretly survives? That's why I think there's so much power in having her not survive. No big secret at the end, no big lie that we're all a part of. Just the reality that there was a world that decided to crush its boldest truth teller and left us as the audience picking up the pieces. Wicked has always been a patchwork of different lore and different source material, kind of a remix of stories and different perspectives. A multiverse of witches, if you will. Of course, the movie, I guarantee you, has already been made. There's 4 or 5 different edits and none of them include this ending, but I just wanted to make this video for fun and hopefully take you along for the ride and convince you that this is the better way for this story to end. And what happens when we're all wrong and John Chu decides to give us a girl boss ending where Fiero gets left behind and Glinda and Elphaba both run away together?
I think we all know where this is going. Let's be honest.
It could happen. But I don't think y'all are quite ready for that take, so I'm going to save that for the topic of next week's video. For now, thank you so much for having watched my video all the way through, and I guess I'll start with my little YouTuber spiel of please like, comment, and subscribe, and I guess I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye!
Once there was a wicked witch in the lovely land of Oz, and a wickeder, wickeder, wickeder witch there never ever was. She filled the folks in Munchkin land with terror and with dread, till one fine day from Kansas a house fell on her head.